Hey, you didn't think we were going to skip out on the old DFS streets in the Final Four now, did you? Mike joins me to break it all down this Saturday slate that is right now, recording live from somewhere. This is One and Done.
Get out the insurance cards, get out the co-pays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by DrRoto.com.
It's time once again for everybody to come aboard that One and Done train. Welcome to One and Done. Bienvenidos a todos a One and Done, your fast break of college basketball información. We are powered by the Galaxy's greatest website, DrRoto.com. My name is Jay Heinrich. I happen to be the conductor of this whole thing, the aforementioned One and Done train. Follow me on X at Dr. William Cannon. I'll hit the follow back button because, as they say, I'm a follow back girl. But I know who you're here to see, and I know who I'm here to see this evening as well on my fine viewing device. It's the man around these parts known as El Capitan himself, the captain of the One and Done ship. He does the ship, I do the train. Follow him on X at MC Holland 34, the OG Money Mike. It is Mr. Mike Holland. Mike, what it do?
Oh, man. Like I got to run out of the tunnel after that one, man. I'm doing good. We were just here, 24 hours ago? We're here. It's still a little bit of light outside, so it's kind of weird. It is. But, yeah, we wanted to get this out early, man, because it's a two-gamer, and we're going to be busy talking about the transfer portal over the course of the week and these games that end up playing and Monday's finals. So might as well get out here in these streets now and try to win this, $20K to first? I'm down to do something like that.
Sheesh, $20K to first. Not too shabby for a little 4-team, 2-game slate. No more 4 games at a time, guys. It's the Final Four, if you didn't know. And how did it get here so quickly? I have no idea. But I definitely am excited that you're here to talk Final Four with us. So make sure if you're watching live, you hop in that live chat. Let us know you're hanging out with us, the liveliest live chat in all of college basketball, as I like to say. Make sure you hop in there. And to do that, push the subscribe button. Show your broskis in basketball some love. Get over to YouTube. One and Done College Basketball. WON. You see it right there. One and Done right there. College basketball. Sitting at 1,454 subs. All right, let's go. Let's get up. Let's boost those numbers. Let's boost those numbers. Push those buttons for us as we get into this Final Four DFS slate. Mike, your initial reaction to these games, how they've come to be, where we are in the universe right now. I know we've spent so much time talking about the portal, and it's going to be nice just to talk about some games for once. So, What are your thoughts heading into this 2-gamer?
Yeah, I know we're going to be down there. We're going to be excited. This is the 4 best teams in the country. The second time in history, right? Since 2000, the only time since 2008 that we've had all number 1 seeds. This slate in particular, man, it's a little weird because you've got the big total up at 161, and then you've got the small total down at 134. So, kind of just looking at a kind of overview of this and how we need to attack it. Like, what's going to be very popular, Jay, is that everyone's going to try to jam 7 guys from Auburn, Florida, and then pick the 1 guy in Houston, Duke that is going to do something. But we know that you're playing 3,500 teams to win 20K. So we're going to have to look at different types of overloading. We're going to have to look at, do you play more than 1 player in the Houston Duke game? Do we use random bench pieces? Do you use game theory with fouls to maybe play a backup? There's just so many different ways. What's Flag's ownership going to be? I mean, I'd imagine not very high with this matchup and then, the 2 other studs, Broom and Clayton on the slate. So, yeah, man, we're going to talk through this, and you got to get different, and leaving salary is also another option. I wouldn't be afraid to leave, 1,000, 1,500 just to have a differentiated lineup. But always you could probably split 20K with 30 of your closest friends, and that would still, I guess, be okay.
It wouldn't be too shabby, but we're chasing that Tacoma all to our lonesome. Sometimes it pays to be a little bit different, especially on a slate like this, man. 2 drastically different game environments.
So different.
but again, like you said, these are the 4 best teams in the entire country, and it is not even close. So right before we get to these two games here, I want to make sure you're hitting those like and subscribe buttons. Follow us at One and Done CBB over on X, Sky Blue, Instagram, TikTok, all of them at One and Done CBB. Go find us at all the socials. Just push them all. Do yourself a favor, because when the content really starts rolling on all the socials, you're going to want to say, hey, I remember when I was there first. I was over there hanging out with the One and Done crew before any of you guys were. Go push all the buttons. And, of course, like and subscribe right here on YouTube. Let's get to it, Mike. Let's get to game one of this two-game slate. Florida versus Auburn. The higher implied total of the two, 161 points, are implied in this one according to KenPom's metrics. And if you see right there on your screen at the bottom there, Florida, a slight favorite. But again, Mike, as we talked about on the Final Four breakdown show the other night, you might as well just flip a coin here in both of these games. But let's talk about this one first. Florida and Auburn, this is the second time that these teams will have met this season. The first time they met, Florida beat Auburn in their own arena there. On the road, Florida got the win, 90-81. For Florida, Clayton had 19, 6, and 9. Of course he did. Condon had 17, 10, and 4. For Auburn, Broome had a double-double because of course he did, and he also had 6 assists. Kelly had 22 points, Pettiford 14 off the bench. The Stars got theirs, and they're probably going to get theirs again in this game, Mike. So let's start right. You see it right there with Walter Clayton Jr. on your screen here. 8,500, the third most expensive player to roster on the entire slate is Clayton. And, it's kind of hard to argue that you couldn't convince me that he's not the third most talented player that's left out of these four teams as well, behind Broome and Flagg. So with Clayton, an absolute awesome spend up in any setting. You could, play against your grandma and your uncle. You should roster Walter Clayton. Okay, whatever setting that you're getting into, whether it's the One and Done Invitational that we'll get out for this one coming up soon, the MC Holland Classic, as I like to call it. Whatever it is, Walter Clayton is a great play. The safe floor, obviously, when we're spending up in this sort of a environment with two games on this slate. Like I said, Clayton is the third highest salary in the entire roster. And then everybody else, like Knippel's next at 7,500. It's a whole $1,000 cheaper to the next guy. So these spend ups, you pick and choose, right? So if you're going to spend up, Clayton has the floor that you need with the turning upside that's going to take to get 20K. Of course, you see the stock upside, that those auxiliary stats, the counting stats that Clayton needs to really get you that 40-plus fantasy point game. It could definitely happen in this type of an environment with as many possessions as there'll be. He can get his hands in some passing lanes and stuff. But even if he doesn't, 26% shot rate, 23% assist rate, had that big stat line against him that we talked about earlier. Didn't come off the floor against him last time, Mike. I like that. I'll take 40-minute Walter Clayton at 8,500 all day.
Yeah, man, I'm with you on it. Like, it's kind of one of the keys to the slate, right? Like, could you play all three studs? I think you can. Will all three get there? A lot of that has to do with Flagg. We've already seen Broome and Clayton kind of get there. So, yeah, that's going to leave you with not a lot of salary. So I think 2 is going to be really popular, and I think Walter Clayton's going to be really popular. Thomas Houff down here at 7K. They finally, I guess, decided to unleash him. I missed the boat last game when I thought people would go to him. They did. He was like 25%. I got off of him because Condon was back in. He's going to start. I thought Houff would be around mid-20s minutes and think he would absolutely dominate the game. But it looks like now he's settled into a 30-minute role, 10th in offensive rating in the country. This dude is a baller, man. Massive rates across the board. I'd imagine people that aren't playing Flagg will want to stack Houff with Clayton. Like, it feels like those two guys easily go together with the Broome, and then you have your value guys and your mid-tier guys. I think it's interesting off of Clayton and Houff to move down to Martin, Condon, or Richard. Like, Martin's sitting here at 6,300. Like, we said it on the stream the other day that, like, every time we talk about these guys, like him and Will Richard are always just really great tourney plays. The problem is if the bigs gobble up all the rebounds and are doing some scoring, which is exactly what happened against Texas Tech, Neither one of these guys are going to get there, but they absolutely can. And you love that Martin's back to a 35-plus minute role, especially in a tight one, which we project these last 3 games to be absolutely down to the last few possessions. So Martin, I think he's a really good play in all formats. Condon, though, man, this is where I want to know what the field's going to do with Condon, because now it's flipped. It's usually been Condon's been more expensive than Half all year. When Condon was out, Half smashed in the middle of the year. Condon still played pretty well, even, back from injury. But, here's the thing. He's $1,000 cheaper, and he's still probably going to play 28 to 30 minutes. His rates on the season are better than House. If he goes a little under the radar, I want to be overweight. And when people like box score watching, I don't know. Could he be popular? Because he did torch Auburn for 38 fantasy points in 33 minutes. So I think he's a great turning play. You got Will Richard at 5,800. The guard, just another awesome turning play, man. Like, stop if you've heard that. That's why you probably want to get 6-7 guys, really 7 into this game, man. Like, he randomly pops off and his shot's going. You can stack all these guys together, man. It's just, how do you get different with them? Do you play 2 guards together with 1 forward? Do you play just the forwards with like a Clayton? So that's going to be the big thing. The thing with Richard is, like, he has to score. He's a little more scoring reliant. Every now and then he'll have these ancillary stats, but that 3% steal rate definitely helps out. I think I would only touch him in the large field setting. And you got the cheapies for Florida here, Jay. You got Chinyelu, Aberdeen, hand locked in. Chinyelu, it's pretty clear that, like, even though he starts, like, House going to play the majority of the minutes.
Why do you think they bother with that? Why do you think that House just isn't that guy from the start?
Yeah, I think they want to save some fouls, right? So I don't think they want Condon and Half. They're pretty aggressive, so I don't think they want them out there at the same time racking up fouls. Chinyelu is also a big body. Those first 3 minutes, right? He can body up. That's usually what he does. He gets like 1 offensive rebound, gets the putback, gets maybe like another board and a block, and then you don't see him until like the 4-minute mark, essentially. So the problem with him is, like, only a 15% shot rate. So if you play him at 4K, he needs the high efficiency to go with his rebounding and shot blocking upside. You probably need foul trouble from Condon and Half. But we said, Jay, you played 3,500 teams. You probably need some narratives here, right? Like, yeah, it's Janai Broom on the other side. He draws a lot of fouls. Could Condon and Half get into foul trouble? Absolutely. The problem is they have another big and hand locked. And so, Chinyelu, probably my least favorite. You got Aberdeen here, 3,700. He's a backup guard. I think he's kind of sneaky. He'll play 16 to 20 minutes when nobody's in foul trouble. If somebody gets into foul trouble, he might pick up a couple extra minutes. He's a nice player, 6'5", has the ability to score the ball, can shoot the 3. I don't love the rest of his rates, but you're kind of just hoping that things fall his way. So I don't mind him as a large field option. And hand locked in, I probably can't do it, man. He's obviously the 4th option of the bigs. He hasn't topped 11 minutes since the first round. Never a guy that shoots the ball. He has an 8% shot rate on the year. I think last year he had like a 10% shot rate. Like, something crazy I think would have to happen here, Jay. So, yeah, to me, man, I'm trying to figure out the best combination of 3 Florida guys, man. I'm just going to mix and match these guys, the 5 starters and maybe not Chinyelu, but the 4 starters without Chinyelu, and then Thomas Half, and then a sprinkle of some Aberdeen to be different.
I'm going to ask you some more game theory stuff after we get to Auburn. But before we even get to Auburn, Mike, I want to shout out our guy, Forklift Jeremy, kicking off the live chat. What it do, man? Good to see you in there. Hope you're doing well.
What up, Jeremy?
Jeremy's coming into town for the Final Four, I believe. We're trying to figure out where we're going to link up with the One and Done crew. We're going to lock that down here pretty soon. I know Mike was making some phone calls today, doing his dirty work over there, making the move. So we'll figure it out. But Jeremy, good to see you there, man. And hope to see you down here. Oh, and of course, it wouldn't be One and Done without Darren in the chat, joining us with a heavy heart.
Sorry about North Texas, Darren.
Sorry, my guy. Yeah. Final, an NIT last remaining 4, we'll call it. I don't want to call it a Final Four. Remaining 4. We'll do that. Do they do banners for that? Maybe not. Good to see you, Darren and Jeremy. Let's get to the Auburn side, Mike. 80 implied points here. We know Florida defense, 10th in the country in defensive efficiency here. And Auburn is 8th. So, why are there so many points? There's just so many good players. Florida's going to get up and down, obviously 60th in tempo. But there's going to be plenty of possessions in this game. There's going to be plenty of rebounds had in this game. And when I look at Janai Broom at 9,700, just sitting there on a platter for me when there's nobody else to really spend up for. I mean, there is, but we know who that is. This is the spend up. What are we doing? Because if you play him, 50, 60. If you don't play him, I don't know, man. Good luck.
Even a 40 here is probably good. So that's what's crazy.
Enough. What's your I got game theory stuff at the end of this. Let's get through Auburn, and then I want to talk some game theory before we get to the next game. Janai Broom, again, this is like when I'm trying to describe Duke. You run out of superlatives for the type of a player that Janai Broom is here. Now, you mentioned it, Mike, earlier. Florida does have those guys. They're going to just throw body after body after body after body at him. But even when they tried that in early February, he still had 46 fantasy points. So, I mean, this he is what he is, right? At 9,700 too. What was was he 11K at some point this year? I can't see because I can't squint that, I'm
multiple times.
Multiple times here. So, I mean, 9,700, I get it. Because Florida does have a lot of bodies to throw at him, but he's probably, it's chalk, right? Janai Broom is super chalky.
It's gonna be a crazy number on him.
When we're getting different here,
when he gets hurt in the first quarter or the first.
Well, that elbow that almost went the wrong direction.
Yeah, the Paul Pierce elbow.
Yeah, right. Oh, is that what it was? Either way, there was some puckering up going on there when 100%. But we'll see, man. I don't know. Again, it's going to be tough not to click him, especially at this price. But what are your thoughts on Broom? And again, you go from Broom, and then the salary, the floor that just drops out from underneath, and we're immediately into the mid range for some solid value.
Yeah, man. I mean, here's the thing. Raw points are going to matter, right? And so so there is some theory to he should be 90% on this slate. But if you're playing the deal, maybe something happens, you get lucky or whatever, right? That's really gambling. Two, okay, what if somehow he has that, every now and then he has that random Janai Broom, what happened? He had 28 fantasy points. You're what happened? The problem is that raw points matter on a 2-game slate. So there aren't that many guys that go for over 30. So even if you get a snowflake by him, you could still win $20,000. That's the problem here, Jay. I think it's more so who to play with him is going to be the key to it. Todd Pettiford, 6,400. Darren's asking about him right now. He's been on fire, man. 29, 35, 28, 31 fantasy points in the NCAA tournament. His price, 21 fantasy points, so his price is basically maxed out. But his role's a little more secure than what it was during the regular season when he's playing low 20s, mid 20s minutes. Now he's playing 30 minutes. And, the first matchup, he played 25 minutes. He had 23.5 fantasy points. Now he's 6,400, which we're not really used to seeing. We're used to seeing him mid fives. So, yeah, some of that upside is taken into consideration with the price. I love some of the guys below him, man. Chad Baker-Mazara at 5,900. I don't know if it's just because I'm pot committed at this point, man. He hasn't done anything. He was 4 for 19 when I owned him in both the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 at sub 15% ownership. But he's put up 30 balls multiple times on his fantasy points. And this is the lowest price he's been since late November. So he's going to play 30 minutes a game. He's going to shoot threes. He has upside. I'm going back to him in the large field because I don't think people are going to click on him. People are going to rather get to Pettiford. They're going to rather play Kelly and Denver Jones, who, look, I'm okay with these guys. Kelly, boom, bust option, right? He's this microwave scorer at 5,600. I can't fall in love with a guy that's sub 15% combined rebounding percentage, 6% assist rate. He's going to have to make a bunch of threes and some other things are going to have to fall his way. So I'm not in love with Kelly for this slate. I would much rather save $200 and play Denver Jones. So, of course, after the 3 great games where we just jammed him into our lineups at sub 5K, he hit max price and he played 30 minutes last time against Michigan State, and he had 8 fantasy points, man. So I think Denver Jones, of all the guys outside of Broom, right, of all these other guys, he's probably the safest. Like, I'm willing to toss out the 8. It's not hard to say safe after you say it, but he still played 30 minutes. It's hard for him to go nuclear. I don't love him in tournaments because he has to hit like 3+ threes, take a bunch of shots. The Michigan game where he really had that ceiling, which wasn't even 30 fantasy points, that was a season high in field goal attempts. We don't ever see him really taking. Really, when he hits 10, it's like, oh, what happened here? Chaney Johnson at 4,900, man. It feels like a good spot to use one of these other bigs with Broom. We've been doing that this entire tournament. Johnson's been pretty consistent, playing 25-ish minutes. So solid rates across the board. Good play in all formats, man. He had 21.75 fantasy points in 20 minutes in the first matchup. And these guys are cheap. Like you're just at 15K when you play Broom with one of his guys up front. So I don't know, Jay, do you have any thoughts on, saving some money on Cardwell or playing Chaney Johnson because he feels a little more safer?
He's a guy that I'm looking at absolutely stacking this game. Cardwell, I'm talking about Johnson there. Cardwell, though, we know the upside is there for shot blocking and for boards. Probably a guy that will also, speaking about using fouls and throwing his body around.
Oh, yeah.
He fouls like a lot. So don't fire him up in your cash games. But you're looking at this price, I think people are probably going to box score watch a little bit with him. Looking at the price tag, 4,500.
Can he starts?
Yeah, but we also know that he could easily play 14 minutes and get you a snowman, 8 fantasy points or something 100%. Crazy like that. So I don't know. I'd rather play Johnson than Cardwell, but I get it if you want to get a little bit different for sure. Now, listen, before we move on, game theory-wise, Mike, some of these players, you talked about leaving some money on the table, right? Like, it's okay to leave $1,000 of salary behind like that, right? Do you take that into consideration where I look at Denver Jones's price tag, and I wish Denver Jones was in like 4,600 to 4,700 range. I wish he was sub 5K, right? If you're thinking about already leaving salary on the table, and you're like, okay, I would really want a Denver Jones at 4,700. It's going to cost me 5,400 to roster him on this tournament. Do you take that into consideration? Like, I'm already going to leave this. Should I spend up a little bit more than I'm comfortable spending for some of these guys in this situation so I can just find a way to be different, find a way to catch lightning in a bottle? Or do you try to just stick to your guns and really not overspend for some of these guys in this scenario?
No, man, I think it's pretty clear, right? You play Broom. To me, you have to play a Florida guard. I just don't see a way where one of those 3 guys doesn't get there. So I think you've already got 2 spaces locked in, right? When I look at guys like Miles Kelly, Denver Jones, they could absolutely be on the tournament winner, right? But let's say I have 5,500 left, right? And you don't have to leave 10K, right? You need to leave 4 or 5, nothing crazy, right? Like, I wouldn't leave more than 1,200, right? Like, you're not playing showdown or anything like that. But if you're at 5,500 for last man in, like, there is some thought of like, do you have to necessarily play Denver Jones? No. Like, you could easily play like a Dylan Cardwell, because Dylan Cardwell could legitimately outscore Denver Jones. If Denver Jones goes for 9 and Cardwell goes for 18, all those lineups that are unique to yours, which we're going to have a lot of lineups that look the same, all those lineups are going to have Denver Jones. You're going to have $1,000 left in salary, and you play Dylan Cardwell. Well, there's a 9-point difference right there, and that's what flips you on the leaderboard. So yeah, like, look, it's risky. It's 100% risky to leave $1,200 on the table, but things aren't going to happen the way they're supposed to all the time in a 2-game slate. And so that's where you have to this is only for the large field. Like, if you're playing small stuff, like, I would just play Denver Jones. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't play Denver Jones or play Janai Broom, play Clayton. Like, anything under 200 people, you're getting a little too crazy by leaving a lot of salary on a 2-gamer. But when you're playing 3,500 people, man, somebody could get hurt, foul trouble. Somebody could randomly have a nice game off. Like, Aberdeen could have a nice game off the bench randomly. All this is game theory type stuff, like you're saying, Jay. If you have 5,000 and you're like, I'm just going to throw Aberdeen in there and leave, whatever it is, 1,400. Like, okay, you live by it, you die by it. Some guys are going to shoot 1 for 10 and not get there. So there's so many things that could happen. That I just think for large field winning 20K, those are some things you can definitely do.
Good stuff, Mike.
Like
Best
says,
in the
it's
business. Yeah, living dangerously, like Darren saying. Best in the business right there. You're getting that kind of breakdown right here on One and Done. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons. Do not miss anything that we're doing, because even though the season's almost over, One and Done does not sleep. We're going 365. We're doing transfer portal stuff. We're doing coach interviews. We're doing it all off season. So make sure you hit all those buttons right now. Like, subscribe, notification bells, so you don't miss a minute of this college basketball coverage. And if you don't, you would be living dangerously. And our guy, Nate C. Hustle, the Hall of Famer himself, pushing the buttons tonight in the live chat. I, too, like to live dangerously. Yes, sir. We know you do. We definitely know you do. Good to see you in there, Nate. And, of course, our guy at Fantasy Nav texting us in the group thread from the Spurs game as we're going live. He's talking about CP3's got those dimes still looking pretty nice down there those days, in his words, on the text thread. So shout out to our guy at Fantasy Nav in those Twitter streets, Eric the Blue, of course. All right, guys. Hey, listen, I don't know if you saw that nice graphic that was up there at the top of your screen earlier, but that's our friends over at BracketBids, and we've had quite a bit of good conversation. We had a lot of fun doing our BracketBids auction draft, where we bid against each other to see which teams we could get onto our roster here. For example, Mike, let me see, Mike's bid there, $565 of his $1,000 went to Florida, of course. I spent $421 of mine on Houston. So, hey, different strokes for different folks. Forklift Jeremy, $557 of his $1,000 went on Duke, of course. So, and then who has the other one seed? It's, of course, C Thug and Cam got Auburn at $480. The point is, I'm telling you this, those were the max bids on the entire slate. And that wasn't the Sweet 16 bonus. We didn't even talk about that, right? With different types of scoring that you can do. You do the auction-style draft. There was a live chat going on throughout the draft. It's one of the better experiences that I've had doing fantasy drafts. And I was skeptical about the auction style until I actually got into it. And now I know that I'll definitely be back at BracketBids next year. So make sure you get over there, BracketBids.com, or download the BracketBids app today. If you're activating anything, use the promo code BREAD, of course. That gets you a discount if you're activating any sort of league or whatever it is that you got over there if you're paying for it right now. Go over to BracketBids.com. Just create your account and save it. Put it in a folder in your email, and then when it comes time again, get back into BracketBids, and you're already all set up. So shout out to our guy Ryan Osterman over there at BracketBids, and thanks for partnering with us this year. Darren's going to be back despite his showing in the standings here. He didn't shy away from it. Darren hasn't shied away from it, in the standings here of the One and Done Invitational. Didn't do too hot, but hey, that's all right. That's all right. Jeremy's saying, giving the endorsement too right there, first time playing, but he will be back as well. So go over there and check out what you've been missing. BracketBids.com and the BracketBids app today. And give your March a little bit of an upgrade. All right, good stuff there, Mike. Let's get to game 2 of this 2-game Final Four slate. Houston and Duke, the other 2 1 seeds in this thing. A little bit different of a game environment here. We teased it earlier, and it's obviously worth saying again as we break this down. A 161-point implied total for the first game. 134 points implied on this one. And why is that, Mike? Oh, yeah, because Houston is in this game. And I'd mentioned it on the show last night when we were breaking down the Final Four and everything, giving our reactions and stuff like that. I was sitting there thinking, like, man, Houston beat Tennessee at their own game. No. Houston is the best at what they do. It's Houston's game, and everybody else is trying to catch up to them. A big part of that, obviously, is, they just clog it up. It's a rock fight. 360th in tempo are the Cougars, and, number 1 in defense if you need it. So, I mean, there's a reason, and it's not like Duke is too shabby themselves either on the defensive side. So, low-scoring affair here. 66 points implied for Houston, according to Ken Palm's metrics here. Houston, 225th in bench minutes used. So that's just right there in the middle. We know what we're going to get out of this Houston team at this point, though. LJ Cryer, 7,200, Mike, coming off a big-time performance against Tennessee, 35 fantasy points he had against the Volunteers. Had that big second round game against the Zags, 41.5 fantasy points as well. What you love about Cryer, obviously the shot volume is there, but, and this is like huge but, super scoring reliant, right? So if he's not hitting the shots, Cryer can shoot you out of a green screen. Only an 11.5% combined rebound rate, 12% assist rate, 2% steal rate. Would love him to pump those numbers up a little bit, right? Would love him to pump those numbers up a little bit. I don't know that we're going to get it, though. He's going up against some big guards here. He's going to have to be super efficient, Mike. And I mean, like, 75% from the field. Like, he's to pay this price off, easy for me to say, he's going to have to make everything, basically, man. And it's going to be a tough click for me.
Yeah, I mean, all these guys are going to be tough clicks. I mean, the problem with Houston is the forwards do a lot of the, like, they get all the stocks, they get all the rebounds. So, like, you're just looking for the guy that has the assist rate. Well, that's not Cryer and Sharp. Those are the guys that score the basketball. Milos Uzan is the guy that, he's the bigger of the guards, right? And he has a little bit of a rebounding upside to him, but he's got the 27% assist rate. So he's $700 cheaper. I would say he has a safer floor than Cryer, even though he doesn't take as many shots, but he'll get up there in shot attempts. So I just think, man, for these guys to hit, like, everything's got to click. But like we said, raw points do matter. So if you can end up with a 3.5x, it's not going to be – I wouldn't be surprised to see a 3.5x on the winner. That's just how it goes. Is if you hit the other 7 spots, right, go ham. So do I think Cryer using can get you there on maybe some volume? Potentially, man. It's pretty scary knowing that if that first game goes off and you don't have enough pieces in there and you're stuck with a couple of guys on the second game, that's when it gets pretty scary. But if for whatever reason the first game goes under and it goes like 66 to 62 or something, and you're sitting with 2 guys in this spot, you probably feel a little bit better about it. So I think I prefer using over Cryer here with the $700 savings. The guy that I like the most here, Jay, Juwan Roberts, 6,200, burned me in the Tennessee game because he fouled. If he doesn't foul, he can easily pay this off. He had 28 fantasy points and 29 minutes against them last year when they had Filipowski and Mitchell. Now, obviously, the stronger defensively Maliwaj, Cooper Flag, right, and Gongba in there. But I do like him for tourneys. Like, he's shooting the ball more this year. He still has big rebounding and stock upside. I think he's someone that could end up on the tourney winner for sure, man. I like him more, and I think I like the cheapies because obviously you're not paying over $6K for these guys, man. I can't do Cryer or Sharp, man. I'm pretty much off on.
Yeah, Sharp's that's a tough price to pay for a 3-and-D guy, right? 5,700 for Sharp, 13% rebound rate, 6% assist rate. I don't think that's a click that I'm going to make either here. Another guy that's just going to have to get hot in order to pay off this price, and I'm not in on it, man.
Yeah, it's pretty scary, right? Like, let's get hot against a team that has 5 guys 6'6" plus on the floor. Right. So. Yeah, this is such a fascinating real-life game to watch, man. I'm in on some of these forwards. Like Tugler, like, is he really going to draw the Cooper Flag assignment? I know he's number 1 in DPBR on Evan Maya that tracks, like, individual defensive metrics. He's number 1 in the country. This guy he's going up against is going to be a unicorn. We'll see if he's able to hang with him. I know he's super athletic, but he lives fantasy-wise on, like, easy dunks, rebounds, stocks. And if he's going to be guarding Cooper Flag, there's foul risk that's going to happen with that. So he rarely crosses 22 to 24 minutes too. So super risky, man. Malik Wilson at 4,300. He's a really good real life player. His minutes a little sporadic. He played well against Gonzaga and Tennessee, but gave you nothing really against Purdue. Awesome rebounding rates for a guard. Really nice stock rates for a guy that's 6'3". My fear is that they need more size in this matchup, and I don't know that he's the bench piece that we go to. I actually think the 2 bench pieces that are worth rostering and that I'm a little excited that Steve's value are Javier Francis and Terrence Arsenault. Francis sitting down here at 4,100, like, he's the backup big. Typically 15 to 18 minutes. If Roberts or Tugler get into foul trouble, he's going to have to be out there because Duke is a big team. They're number 1 in height in the country. He only has a 14% shot rate, but he has elite rebounding and stock rates, kind of like Tugler. He's in the tourney player pool, especially if those guys get into foul trouble, man. So if you play game theory, he had nearly 20 fantasy points in like 15 minutes against Tennessee. So I definitely don't mind him. I think the hot take of the of the slate, and maybe I'm just getting in trouble. So this is large field only. Don't be upset if he sees 7 minutes. Is Terrence Archibald now? He's 3,900. So here's the deal: like Houston, Sharp, and Cryer, we're all like 6'2", 6'3", right? Well, you got 6'6", 6'6", 6'7" with Knipple. You got 6'9", 6'10" with Flag. You got Mallywatch at 7 foot. Arsenal is 6'6". So, like, we saw this with, like, Carter Bryant from Arizona. Anthony Del Orso was not going to cover Cooper Flag. They needed more size. So we'll see. I think he's kind of sneaky for large field, man. Tourney only, very, very risky. He's been a nice player for them. He's been hurt during his career. Man, like, there's a real chance that he could play 20 to 24 minutes in this one. And at 3,900, man, if he just gives you 3.5x, like you are, and these other guys bust, these 5K guys bust, like you're kind of living a little bit, man. It's weird to say, but just
man, Tugler, look, I mean, you could looking back at the last time Tugler's played in the high 20s. I mean, he paid it off.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Colorado, but I mean, like,
yeah,
and this is Duke. I mean, like, it's tough for me to feel good about Tugler having to play that defense on one end of the court. And then even if he is playing max minutes, like, what is he going to be able to give you on the other end? It's tough. Like, if he does draw a flag, especially, right? Like, but it doesn't really matter. Everybody's huge.
Yeah,
like,
that's ridiculous.
Everybody is huge. I mean, Darren asking, does size really matter in the live chat? And Josh quickly chimed in. I noticed, yes. So good for you, Josh. Congratulations. First of all, congratulations. Love to see that in the live chat. Definitely hadn't. But yeah, Josh saying also, though, to go back, saying Tugler has to play more minutes versus Duke because they play big. Yeah, man.
But can't if he's in
what does more minutes mean? Is it 28? Is it 30? Like, did he play 30 minutes all season? I don't think he did. So, like, to ask him to do that in this game against that type of a player, it's tough for me, man. Like,
that's why it's so fascinating to watch this game, man. It's gonna be so crazy.
But this is also the type of game, though, okay, we got to throw it all at Duke anyway, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to throw everything that you have at them no matter what. So why not? Why not have Tugler? It's tough. It's very difficult for me to rationalize to say, oh, I'm going to get what's it going to take from Tugler to get to where we wanted to be? 4.5x?
I mean, at least
5x?
20 plus, right? To have a shot, I would think. I mean,
it's tough.
Yeah,
it's a tough click for me, man. Any other thoughts on this side before we move on to Duke?
Nah, man, this is the game that, we talk about. We don't want that many pieces, and it goes into double overtime, and all of a sudden it scores like 73 to 72. You're like, damn, like 7 guys got there.
Yeah, this game gets in the 150s, and we're all screwed, but that's okay. We'll just shake the hand. That beats us, it's all right. Josh saying he has to guard Flag, and that could be the reason he plays. But yeah, no, totally understand where you're coming from, man. Like, again, though, I don't know that
he's not used to that. He's a paint
that necessarily translates to more fantasy points. Like, I don't know if that does. Like, real life, his importance in the game in terms of what Tugler will bring to the team, yeah, that's through the roof. But for paying $5,200 trying to roster him on this one,
and the last point I'll make on this, Jay, is like if he's guarding Cooper Flag, and Cooper Flag brings him away from the basket, that takes away from his elite rebounding and shot blocking rates. And then if Cooper Flag's going to drive and he's going to foul, like,
yep, it's a tough spot to be in.
It's just a weird spot because we don't see Houston in this spot ever.
But then that switch,
but then you don't deal with a 6'10" monster out there.
That makes the case for Francis then, right? Like, if you're playing that game in your mind, if Tugler will have to try to be out there more, right? Well, if he picks up 2 fouls in the first 6 minutes of the game, is Francis going to finish out that half? Who knows? So that's why we got to just try to – it's going to be tough to get too many clicks in this game anyway, like we were saying, Mike. But if you are, you got to be super selective. Hit those like and subscribe buttons. Show your broskies and basketball some love before we get to the old Dookie side, if you will. Get that live chat going. Good to see Josh and Darren in there. Forklift Jeremy, of course, as well. Nape, C Hustle. Did I miss? Let me get back onto the screen here. Did I miss Snake's Eyes earlier? I sure did. I knew I missed somebody's comment saying
Snake's
"Roll Tigers." Good to see Snake's Eyes. Oh my gosh, I'm everywhere today. Let's get this back on there. Are we set up? Are we good? Oh my, there we are. We're
are you
fine.
live?
We are looking live at. All right, here we go. Let's get to the Duke side here. Obviously, we don't need to talk about Houston's defense. It is what it is. Only 68 implied points on this side for Duke. I can't imagine that they were implied for under 70 many times this season. We like to look at the bench minutes. I'm looking at this right now, Mike. 196th in bench minutes used, but you have to consider they've beaten the crap out of a lot of people. There have been a ton of blowouts, right? A lot of meaningless minutes for the guys that used to wash the jerseys and then they get to go and play 2 minutes against some of these teams or whatever. But that doesn't really concern me a ton. We know what we're getting. We know who we would want to pay for on this side. And I don't know, man. Like, when you talk about the ultimate tourney option here, like, do you do or do you don't? Cooper Flagg, like, the toughest matchup, period, that he will have all year stylistically, right? Like, again, what they do well, obviously, if it's Tugler, the team defense, more than anything else, right? That he'll have to face.
Box and one.
But look, I mean, he's going to play 36, 7, 8 minutes. Like, if he doesn't get into foul trouble, he's going to play damn near the whole game. And, I mean, we didn't really see that a ton this year, but it's not like he's not going to be out there. What would you not have Cooper Flagg on the floor for? I don't think that even though it's Houston, it's Cooper Flagg. Like, he's matchup proof, my guys and gals. Can he get there against this defense?
Yeah.
That's the big question, right, Mike? If you pay for him, though, you're definitely not getting Broome and Clayton.
Yeah.
It's going to cost you one of those most likely, right? So, I mean, are you paying up for Broome and Clayton? Are you paying up for Flagg and Clayton? Are you paying up for Flagg and Broome? This is the biggest piece. The biggest pieces of whatever I'm doing with my hands here. Making a puzzle is what I'm trying to emulate here. The biggest puzzle pieces here, like I said, starting off the Cooper Flagg conversation, Mike, the ultimate tourney option in this one.
Yeah, man. Like, if you try to play Broome and Flagg together, it's probably going to cost you Clayton. But you could go to one of those guards from Florida and then a Condon, and you can get into the mix. The problem is that you better hope that old Walter Clayton guy that has been going scorched to earth in this tournament, especially down the last 5 minutes of the games, it's pretty scary. So, yeah, what we do there is going to be huge. So the rest of these guys, man, Con Knipple, 7,500. I just generally a shot dependent, especially when he's at this price. Like, yes, does he have a little bit of rebounding upside? Yeah, a little bit. He's going to have a size advantage against the three guards, though, man, because he's like 6'6". So he can post up. He comes off screens, can shoot threes. That's just a big tag for him, man, at 7,500. And you're probably costing yourself one of those three guys that we keep talking about by playing Con Knipple against Houston. So weird spot for all these guys. Tyrese Proctor, damn near max price, like same song and dance here. He's been on absolute fire. I just love that he really came back and improved. He could not shoot a lick his first couple of years. He's really transformed his game. Feels a little more – you just know he's going to be on the floor for 30, 32 minutes or so, maybe even more here. Feels a little more cashy, but can you even say that when you play Houston? That's kind of scary. So tournament's probably for me as well. Maui watch, like he's going to have a tough time banging around with Juwan Roberts and Tugler and Francis, and he has fouling issues, but he's also allowed to go 4x plus because he has elite shot blocking rates. He's got rebounding upside. He can get you some putbacks. It's just I don't love the matchup against the Houston Bigs. Simon James, man, 4,700. Here's like your floor cash play on the Duke side, man. Rarely is he ever under like 15 or 16 fantasy points, and he should be. I imagine that's roughly his floor, give or take a couple of points here. But he's also tourney worthy because he plays 27 to 32 minutes and he contributes across the board. Obviously, like we talked about a lot of these guys, if you play one of these guys, they're going to need to be highly efficient from the floor. One, there's not going to be as many possessions because of the tempo. Two, these teams play good defense. So James, I think probably my favorite of the floor plays. I don't know, man. I don't know that I can get to Foster. I mean, Gungba's interesting, Jay. Like, talking about all the time. Foul trouble. He's risky, though, because he can get into foul trouble. So we love the upside we've seen from him. Like, he had like 3 assists in his first, 4 possessions the other day. I think he's kind of needed in this spot with just all the bigs banging around for Houston. So, yeah, another value type play here, man. I'm not dusting off Caleb Foster against Houston. I would rather just burn my money. It'd probably be a lot more fun than doing that.
Zero love for Caleb Foster. Sorry. Apologies to Caleb Foster and his family if they're one and done viewers or breadheads. But I understand where you're coming from here. Ngamba at 3,600. Like, if I had to pick one of those for the upside, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna take the $200 off and I'm gonna go Ngamba for sure. Like, it's not really I wouldn't look back. I wouldn't think twice about it for sure. So excellent stuff there, Mike. 2 games down, none to go. Why? Oh, that's because this is the Final Four DFS show. Right here on One and Done. Man, we still found a way to make a 2-game slate go over 45 minutes, but that's because we're giving you all the breakdown. We're trying to win 20K here. This ain't no, grab and dash. It ain't how we do it around here on One and Done, okay? Like, you come and hang out with us. You hop in the live chat like Darren and Josh and Snake's Eyes and Napesy Hustle and Forklift Jeremy do. You get in the live chat with us and you hang out and you chop it up about college basketball because that's what we do around here, and we do it well. So hit all those like and subscribe buttons, notification bells so you don't miss a minute of our college basketball coverage. Now, since you did stick around for this whole show, why don't you take out the old pen and pad and jot down the core 4 and more, or whatever that was. I don't know. I was trying to core 4 and more.
I thought you were doing the Vogue from Madonna.
Play the core 4 right here. Cash, safe tourney with upside. Do it now. We're not talking to Darren right here because Darren only wants to just live on the edge of his seat, okay? So if you play on this play. If you play a little bit of cash like I do, a little bit safer plays, or, some of those safe tourneys with upside here, okay? Obviously, Janai Broom, the safest play, the safest floor, I should say, elite upside, right? 9,700. Walter Clayton. I'm playing Broom and Clayton probably in every lineup, whether it's cash games or tournaments. I don't know that I'm going to be able to get the flag. I don't know that I'm going to do it. I don't know that I want to even try it, but it is a way to get different, obviously, in a tournament when you're trying to win 20K. But for my lineup, we're going Janai Broom, Walter Clayton, Denver Jones. Again, you talked about it, Mike. If you're playing the smaller stuff, cash games, why not fire up Denver Jones here? It's a safe play. It's not necessarily the win you 20K play, okay? So, again, I understand if you're tournament, boom, bust type of a mentality here, I'm not even saying to go with Denver Jones there. But if you're doing double ups, stuff like that, top third, triple up, whatever it is, like I even like Denver Jones and something like that. So consider it at 5,400 here. Lots of threes. If he's hitting his threes, watch out no matter what. And then again, a little bit cheaper for 4,700. I'll take James from Duke there in the backcourt. Another safe option, 30 minutes, super cheap price tag right there. So Broom, Clayton, Jones, and James there for my safe cash plays.
54.25 there, Jay. 54.25.
What is it?
54.25.
That's so much. That's like on DuckTales diving into the old vault of coins right there with how much money I left you there. DuckTales, woo! How about some boom bust stuff, Mike? I know what Darren's wanting, and I know what most of the breadheads are wanting here. So why don't you give us your core 4 here for tournaments?
Yeah, and these are I wouldn't say just play these 4 guys in the tournament. I would say use these guys as to differentiate. We already know Cooper Flag starting that off, right? It's a gross matchup. But I mean, come on, there's 3 guys that have 40 plus ceiling, maybe 4 or 5 with Elijah Martin and something Condon, but Anyway, you get the drift here, man. We're going Cooper Flack here. Todd Pettiford at 6,400. He's just been on fire. He can definitely get to 5X in this spot. He already lit them up and only played like low 20s minutes for like 23 fantasy points in the first matchup. He's at 6,400. Alex Condon, I love his price tag compared to Houff. People at box score watching, they'll forget that Condon has 40 FP upside here. So definitely like him in tournaments. And I'm going back, dude. Chad Baker-Mazar. 5,900, dude. Like he has hit
Nobody is
30 fantasy points like multiple times this season. He literally just needs to make a shot and stop. Like he's been doing some weird stuff where he's like throwing behind the back passes and like, I don't know, man. He's been doing some weird stuff. But if I could just get like the mid-season Chad Baker-Mazar. So I'm not recommending playing all 4 of these guys together. But if you want to pick off 2 of them, use them in your tourney lineups, I mean, these guys have upside.
I think a lot of people are going to box score watch with Chad Baker-Mazara because listen, when you look at the price tag, he hasn't been sub 6K since November.
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously, like, that's appealing. What's not appealing is when you look up and down his last 5 games and you see 19, 16, 22, 15 and a half, and right under 20, 19.75. That's not super appealing. Yeah. What is, though, is that sweet, sweet upside. In CBM, if he can hit at 5,900, you're going to have to find some mid-range guys. It's not all going to be able to be people that we trust that are 4,500, 3,900. Like, chances are fitting in some of these mid-range guys can help you out, too. And if you hit on a CBM, Mike, I mean –
please let him be sub 15% again.
I'm telling you,
he's probably going to close to the 20 to 25. Oh my gosh, yeah, please. Like one time, man. I've been trying. He's got to make a shot.
I promised myself I wasn't going to make an age joke about Chad Baker-Mazara coming into the show, so I'm not going to because Darren made it for me there. But I'm hoping that he has himself a game too. And I hope he does it before he cashes his first Social Security check next month. Okay, very good. Cooper Flag, Todd Pettiford, Alex Condon, and Chad Baker-Mazara there. The tournament core for, just like Darren said, light fire to the chainsaws before juggling them on the unicycle. That's what we love to do. But that's probably what it's going to take to win 20K on your own. Okay, so we're not – I mean, yeah, it's great. We want to see green screens. We want to – everybody loves to cash, make a little bit of bread. But, I mean, if you're playing, to win money, big-time money, 20K type money.
Weird. It's get weird.
Anyways. Get weird, man. Get weird.
Yep.
Mike, before we get out of here, I wanted to ask you again, we talked a little game theory. We talked a lot of different ways to approach this slate. Before we get out of here, man, just some final thoughts on these 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, just if you're going to play for the 20K, like we've been saying, just if you're going to play multiple lineups, you got to try a few where you're leaving 800, 1,100 in salary. Because, look, it's cool, and I don't know, maybe it's just my thought process, but I'm trying to win 20K. I'm not trying to split 20K. Like, it's like when you play Showdown in NFL. It's like, oh, cool, I got first, but I split it with like 90 people, so it's not much money. But then when you have the one random play or you leave salary and that one guy hits because something happens in the game that we didn't think was going to happen, and you're by yourself with 20K, I mean, yeah. So that's it, man. I mean, just enjoy the games. This is going to be amazing. We'll be out in San Antonio. We'll post some stuff on our socials and what we're going to be doing, but we'd love to see the breadheads and any prospect breadheads that are out there that want to join.
Yeah, I mean, there's breadheads and there's people that don't realize they're breadheads yet. No matter which one of those you are, we appreciate you. So thanks for hanging out with us here on One and Done, WON_DONE, College Basketball over on YouTube. Make sure you type it in and find us. Hit the like and subscribe button. Follow my guy at Fantasy Nav in those Twitter streets, Eric the Blue, out at the Spurs game as we record right now. Shout out to him giving us the live updates. We're not doing it from the Alamo, Darren. All right, I tried and Mike shut it down. Okay, he shut it down. All right. So
we'll get
no.
the invitational going.
We will get the invitational though going, Darren. Appreciate you. Appreciate Cam hopping in there. Appreciate you, man. And then of course Snake's Eyes hanging around because we know that Snake's Eyes is going to be around for all the portal chat because we don't. I mean, it's year round, man. We're doing it all the time. 365, one and done college basketball, bringing you the heat year round. Yeah, the DFS slates might be winding down, but we're not. So make sure you push all those buttons. Make sure you follow @TheRealNapier over there on X as well. The Hall of Famer CC Hustle pushing the buttons tonight, working with Mike on the top 8,000 transfer portal big board that I think they're putting together.
Yes.
Mike, every time you drop one over on drroto.com, it's basically deemed irrelevant within the next 75 seconds because 75 more people have hopped in. But get over to drroto.com anyway and check out Mike's work on the big board. Him and Nape are doing big stuff, getting everything organized for that. And Mike writing those great articles over there at drroto.com. At MC Holland34 on Twitter, El Capitan himself, the captain of the one and done ship. Follow him. He's the man, and you know it. I know it. We all know it. Make sure you hit all those buttons for us. Pour one out for Darren's Mean Green. If you're sitting out on the patio, pour one out for the Mean Green. We will get the MC Holland Invitational out for this one, so follow us on the socials at One and Done CBB. And follow me over there as well on X at Dr. William Cannon, for I am the conductor of the aforementioned One and Done train. Hit me up over there. Follow us on the socials. We're going to get some info out about where we're going to meet up in San Antonio. We'd love to see all of you. Don't go too far because One and Done is in. Tell somebody you love them. Take care of yourselves. My name, JayHeinrich. Come again. Let's go.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.